How's it going, guys? Elking1 here, recording GWA Season 8, Week 3 versus TOG as a post-com, because I recorded this live, and I forgot to turn on my mic. But let's get it started. TOG has a very scary team. The six I was thinking was Pecharunt, Iron Val, Sandy Shocks, what else? Metagross. Yeah, those were kind of what I was thinking. I could see like a Shaman or a Talonflame or Blastoise. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to load up with this squad. I've got two Scarfers in the Chi-Yu Noivern Terra Fire. Defensive Cobalion for the Metagross. And as you can see here, Metagross doesn't even come. Tatsugiri comes. Scrafty I thought had an outside shot, maybe like a AV set for the Chi-Yu, but kind of looking at this here, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to lead Ogerpon because if I was predicting a Sandy Shocks lead for hazards, and I was like, all right, if you lead Sandy Shocks, Ogerpon, I can either fire off a Cudgel or a U-turn turn one, right? And it should be pretty handy there. You see I make my selection pretty quickly. TOG is obviously still deciding his lead. And yeah. As you can see here, Patrick the Toxapex comes this week. Toxic little guy that he is. And I also want to give a big shout out for Drees for helping me with this team. But you can see here Scrafty is the lead. And I'm like, alright, well, is this going to Dragon Dance? What's it gonna do? So I'm like, immediately, I'm like, okay, I don't do much damage. I'm at -1. I'm just gonna U-turn out into like a Toxapex, or Florges, depending on the Terra type. You see here, he's kind of thinking about what he wants to do, and you see he's still thinking. I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna chill out and wait. What does he click? He clicks Terra. I'm like, all right. Is it going to be Fairy for Chi-Yu? Like, alright, it's Steel. I'm like, okay. I'm kind of looking at his team now, and I'm realizing, I'm like, I don't think he has a great Chi-Yu switch in, if I can get it in for free. As I go back, I'm thinking, I'm like, alright, I can't really risk this early. I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, running some calcs. I'm curious. I'm like, Terra Steel, I can't really go Florges because of that. And at this point, I'm kind of deciding between Cobalion and Toxapex, excuse me, as both of them can take him pretty well. I was fearing a Taunt DD, Terra Steel, and you can see here I'm really debating going Cobalion. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, alright, do I do it? And I'm like, no. I'll just go Toxapex, I can Haze. If he is Taunt, it's fine. He clicks Super Fang, takes out half my HP, and I'm like, oh, awesome. That's great. And now I'm thinking about what to do. I'm like, he won't Super Fang again. I thought he might Taunt, or actually I thought he might Taunt, to be honest. So I'm like, okay, if he taunts, what do I go into? I'm like, okay, no Metagross means Cobalion doesn't have as much usefulness. So I swap hard into Cobalion. I go to Cobalion, I'm like, alright, here comes the taunt. He clicks knockoff. I'm like, oh, Justify Biz. Easy peasy. I'm in now, and I'm deciding what to do. I'm like, alright, Toxapex I think is coming out. Or should I put up Rocks? I'm like, Rock could punish a Kyurem. Rocks might be able to do, like, get some hazard chip where I need it. And I'm like, no. I'm really thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really think I need Rocks. Like, I can kind of kill Kyurem from full. I'm just going to Volt Switch out. As he goes hard into Pecharunt. And that's what I thought was coming out, to be honest, right? So I Volt Switch. I'm now thinking, I'm looking at my team, and I'm like, alright, well, his Chi-Yu resists are just non-existent. I can go into Filet-O-Fish, which I did have to pull in after to remember its nickname, and I'm like, I'm just going to Dark Pulse, and I will get a kill here. Also, for Drees' sake, I'm going to take stats at the same time, so he doesn't have to do it. Even though I know he will. So Chi-Yu here is going to kill something. Tatsugiri. And I'm like, alright, well, I think he's just going to sack this, to be honest. Because Tatsugiri doesn't really do much, and I get an easy kill there. So Tatsugiri goes 0-1. And I mean, I can see the Chiyu endgame, right? I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, like, he doesn't really have a Dark Pulse resist anymore. He goes Hard Valiant. And I'm like, well, I kind of built Toxapex for this. And he knows I'm Scarfed. If he was Orb DD, or Orb SD, it could get dicey, but in that case, I still have Noivern at Scarf, and I'm like, alright, I'm just gonna go Toxapex and see what's up. As he fires off close combat, I'm like, wow, that does a lot of damage, it must be Bandit. He gets a crit. I'm like, ah. Because I'm a pretty Fizz-Def Toxapex. And now I'm like, oh god, he's just gonna click it again, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I know it puts a lot of pressure, but I'm like, I have to go Florges. I gotta let Toxapex get some regen up. Cause otherwise I would be very sad if I got no regen. So I double out into Florges as he goes straight into Sandy Shocks. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that double coming personally. And I'm like, alright, I'll Psynoise predicting the. Sorry, I Moonblast first actually. I Moonblast first. Doesn't deal that much. I should have calced this, to be honest, and it comes to bite me back later, but I click Moonblast. I'm like, alright, probably go Pex here. Cause why wouldn't you? As then he starts hazard stacking me, and I'm like, ugh, that's not good. I click Psynoise, do a little bit more chip. Now I'm just watching this back, it's never good. But yeah, I Psynoise, I'm like, okay, crap, like, what am I gonna do? I Psynoise again. I didn't think about going Noivern, but I didn't, which is always smart. He goes straight into Scrafty. I fire off a Psynoise again. I'm like, oh boy, go me. Because I'm now in a really bad spot. He has Spike and Rock up. And I'm like, I need to somehow get rid of this. And I'm debating what to do. And I go hard Cobalion, predicting knockoff. And he clicks Roar. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Love that for me. Just getting hazard chipped everywhere. As I get pulled back onto Florges, which is terrible. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here now because he's got me pretty low. Or lower than I'd like, because if it specs Kyurem, Ice Beam can do a chunk, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I debate clicking Wish or Protect, and I actually had to Google at this point if Roar goes through Protect, because I'm like, okay, if I click Protect, I get lefties. If I'm going to get Roared either way, like, I might as well get 6% back. So I click Protect, and he clicks Super Fang, I believe, which, you know, woohoo, 6% health back. Go me. As I'm still stuck in this awkward situation where Floor just doesn't want to be here, and I need to switch something in, so I go Hard Packs. I'm like, okay, like if he roars me, like I don't take hazards. If he roars, I get sent out into something else. As I get sent into this, where I send myself into this, excuse me. And as he, you know, I predict he might knock off, I click recover, and he roars me out, and I'm like, I'm begging. I'm like, please just don't send me into Chiyu. Just don't send me into Chiyu. As I get sent into Cobalion, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty solid. I'm taking a lot of hazard chip, though, but I'm thinking here. I'm like, okay, he watched me Volt Switch the first time. So I'm going to click Body Press and predict him to stay in. And if he doesn't stay in, I can Volt Switch next turn into Noivern, and I can defog these away. And that's my game plan here. And honestly, kind of the only path I see forward in terms of like how to get some progress versus its Scrafty. Because the Roar is, if he gets my Chiyu once, I ran the calcs. A Vacuum Wave from Life Orb Val does 58 to 69 or something. So at this point, I'm like, all right, I'll Body Press. I take him pretty low, but as you can see, he's Citrus, so he still has some health. And I'm like, Roared. I'm like, just don't send me to Chiyu. Please don't send me to Chiyu. Like, that's all I can ask. As I get sent into Noivern, which is kind of what I want. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to Terra Fire. because there was no reason not to Terra, and I'm gonna defog. Which is my play here, right? Why'd I Terra Fire? That's a great question. I don't really know. As you go Sandy Shocks, I'm like, fudge. This is not good for me. But I'm like, okay, if I get the defog off, I can at least, what's it called? And I realized he doesn't know that I'm not Scarfed. And I had this thought while I was live. I was like, okay, like he could predict me just to kill, so he might just click like Power Gem or something like that to try to hit me. So I was like, alright, I go Ogre Pawn. I put a lot of Spadef into this thing so it doesn't get 2-hit KO'd. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. By T-Bolt, that is. And he clicks Earth Power. I'm like, oh, well, that's great. I'm like, alright, I'll click Cudgel, because if Petrarch comes in, which it probably should, I'll chip it a little bit to where I feel confident, right? So I fire off a Cudgel. And here, I'm like, alright. I did heavily debate putting up the Spike. I was like, Spike or U-turn, Spike or U-turn. And I'm like, I want to keep health on this, because I like this as a bulky pivot into his team. It's so funny. I tried to take down his 6 Mons again. I forgot one. Which is always solid. Scrafty. That little nuisance is the one I forgot to write down. He's thinking, I'm like, alright, I don't know if he's going to recover, though. That's the issue. I'm like, alright, he could recover, and he'll get back to 100%. So, should I go Chiyu? Should I go Cobalion to predict a Malignant Chain? I'm really debating here what to do. I'm thinking, running some calcs. Honestly, I was trying to see how much Shadow Ball or Hex did to Cobalion. And I'm really thinking about it here. I'm like, what do I go into? Chi is kind of my win con. If I can keep rocks off, that's great for me. So I'm like, alright, I will go Cobalion. Because Malignant doesn't do much. I honestly thought Parting Shot might proc Justified. Which would have been funny. Would have been very funny. As he clicks Parting Shot, which is a good play, and I'm like, alright, who's going to come out? Is it Val? Is it Kiram? Is it Sandy Shocks? I should have calced the some of the Mons to figure out spreads, and I'll explain a little bit later why once whatever decides to come out comes out. As you go Sandy Shocks, and this is the turn I'm referring to, right? A non-HP invested Sandy Shocks I always kill with Body Press. And right, that's the calc I'm running right now. I'm like, okay, I'll click it. As I click Body Press, and I don't kill, and he clicks T-Wave. And I'm like, well, that's great for everyone involved. So I have a T-Wave Cobalion, and I'm sitting here like, crud, what do I do? I heavily debate going hard GU, but I'm like, no, I'm going to go into Shrek, right? And he clicks Stealth Rocks, which is kind of expected, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to U-turn for momentum. If he sacks this, fine. If not, then I get an amazing position to Neuburn to get rid of these hazards forever. As I kill the Sandy Shocks with Ogre Pawn, and he goes down to that. And I'm deciding what to go into. I'm like heavily debating. I'm like, okay, I go Cobalion, and I don't know, I should have gone Neuburn to be honest, but I just didn't want to take rocks. And he's deciding what he wants to go into now. And out comes the Kiram. I don't know what this thing is. It could be boots. It could be specs. It could be scarf. It could be anything, to be honest. So I'm like, alright, I'm going to sack this for information. As I am heavily debating what to do, I'm like, alright, I will click. Oh, do I not sack this for information? I thought I did. No. Yeah, I do. I sack this for info to see what he clicks. I'm really, really debating this one. I don't know why I didn't try to flash can it at least. I'm really thinking about this. As I sack this for information. Any Earth Powers. I'm like, okay. Kind of expected of a move. Tells me nothing, though, in terms of its set. So I'm like, okay. Hindsight 2020, I probably should have gone Ogre. But I do not, and I go Florges, as I'm going to Moonblast here and see what he goes into. Because I think my head calc was like, okay, Moonblast always 2-hit KOs. Scrafty, right? Look at its health. I'm a Florgist. Like, I can't be that bad. As I click Moonblast, and I don't think I 2-hit KO. And I'm like, oh, that's tough. That's tough. I'm looking, I'm like, do I click it again? Do I risk that? I'm like, no, he could Terra Blast, he could Super Fang, he could knock off. So I have all these options in my head. And you can see I'm really thinking about that Moonblast button. And I'm like, no, what do I do? I'm like, I could go Ogerpon, because it's mostly expendable at this point, right? Because what he has left, Kyurem, and I'm like, I don't know if anything can touch Kyurem. Pecharunt, can't really break it. Iron Val just outspeeds me. I'm like, okay, like, I think this is the one position I can get an Ogerpon. And if he clicks Super Fang, he clicks Super Fang. As he clicks, knock off. I'm like, okay, well, at least here I pressure. If he goes... stays in, I'll kill it, which will be huge. And if he goes Pecharunt, then I will just U-turn out into Noivern and take my damage. Because at this point, I don't think the Pecharunt has recovered. So taking 2 is not possible. Now, Tog is thinking about what he wants to do. Is he going to go Kyurem? Is he going to go Iron Vow? Is he going to go... yeah, there's only 4 options. I don't know why. And I think he does end up going Valiant. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what do I do? Do I sack this? And I'm thinking, I'm like, Toxapex is at full HP. And I built this Toxapex. So if he's SD Orb, which he could be, I always live a Zen Headbutt. I'm like, okay. I feel like I should just go Pex. Right? And I can force this thing out. And I do go Pex. I double out. I switch out into Pex. As he clicks Close Combat again. And you see without a crit, it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. And here I'm like, okay. I can Sludge. I can Surf. That could recover. And those are my 3 options. I do think about... I don't say it, but I do think about switching into Noivern. And I'm like, no, doesn't make sense. I'll just recover up this turn. As he goes Patch, on the Pex, and I click Recover. And I'm like, okay. So I calced at this point as well, how much does Vacuum Wave do from an Orb Valiant to Chi-Yu? And it does 58 to 69. With crit at max roll, it does 98. So I'm like, okay, if I can get rocks off the field, I can win this. Right? As he clicks Recover, and I just defog. I'm like, I need these rocks off for a Chi-Yu endgame. And that was my play. Then you see here, he clicks Malignant Chain, and I'm like, alright, if you don't get the poison, I actually have a chance to live. And he gets the poison. I'm like, I'm going down, right? At least he'll give me a free switch into Chi-Yu, and I somehow live on 1. And I'm like, that's absurd. And I try to click Flamethrower as a joke, and I'm like, obviously I can't, I have a choice, Scar. And I'm really trying to think about how to do this. I'm like, alright, if I sack Ogerpon this turn, because it doesn't do anything against his remaining 3, I have a solid chance. And he clicks Parting Shots. I'm like, alright, I can't even get the sack off. I suck at sacking Pokemon too. As he goes into Kyurem. I'm like, alright, this is some information. If he clicks and outspeeds me, he's obviously Scarf. If not, I can U-turn into whatever and figure out what his set is. So I try to click the U-turn here as he freeze dries, confirming Scarf. And I'm like, okay, Scarf Kyurem's not a threat. It can't break through Florges. It can't break through Pex. So at this point, the reason I go into Noivern here is because I should have gone Chi-Yu, but I was like, Chi-Yu doesn't kill from full. So if I get some Flamethrower chip, that's awesome for me. As he goes Iron Valiant and takes the fattest Flamethrower to the face I've ever seen. So a 1 HP Noivern doing almost all of Valiant's health. And here I'm like, okay, Valiant's in, and Neuvern's down, which is a bummer. I'm like, okay, what do I go now? Who got the kill? Petrarch got the kill on Neuvern. And I'm like, okay, what do I do here? Do I go Pex? And I do go Pex, because I'm like, okay, this play pretty much seals the game if I click Surf. As he clicks CC into a Toxapex. Why did I make that play instead of going into Chi, you might ask? Because I just didn't want to risk a vacuum wave. And Valiant goes down to Toxapex, which is something I didn't think I'd be saying. So Mom was 53 special attack. He goes Kyurem here, and I'm like, okay, I always live with Scarf Earth Power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click. I'm doing some calcs. I'm like, okay, I always live Scarf EP. And if he clicks that, I'm just going to click Sludge Bomb here because it'll get, hopefully I can just start chipping this Kyurem down a little bit so that I can sweep with Dark Pulse because I think the roll was 49 to 58, right? And I'm like, okay, if I just beat this, the game is pretty much over for a Chi endgame. So I click Sludge Bomb as he clicks Scarf Flash Cannon into a Toxapex. I'm like, oof. And I unfortunately get the poison here, which in the grand scheme of things I don't think matter too much because knowing that he's locked in a Flash Cannon, it's the freest Chi switch of my life. As he doubles out into Petrarch. And I'm like, okay. And comes the Chi. I'm like, so Kyurem never takes 2 Scarf Dark Pulses. I'm like, okay. Knowing that information now with that Sludge Bomb chip, even without the poison, I'm like, I will kill. And down goes the Petrarch. And Petrarch goes down to Chi. And now I'm calcing as well. I'm like, Scarfed Earth Power. How much does it do to Chi? It does 69 to 82. So I'm like, okay, I will win no matter what. Even with a crit, I could just go into Florges and wrap this game up. Kyurem is now pretty low health. And yeah, that's going to be the game. A 3-0 victory in week 3. I want to give a big shout out to my opponent, Tog. He played an amazing game. That Scrafty absolutely messed me up. And see you guys next time. Bye.